Isn't it interesting how life works? How a small decision today, seemingly insignificant, can alter the entire trajectory of our future? You see, success is not something you stumble upon. It's not an accident. It's not reserved for the lucky. No, success is a habit. Just like failure, a person doesn't wake up one day and suddenly find themselves wealthy, healthy, and fulfilled. Just as no one wakes up one morning and realizes, I've completely ruined my life overnight. It doesn't happen that way. Success and failure are both the result of small, repeated actions over time. The habits we cultivate, good or bad, determine the course of our lives. Now, let me tell you something that changed my life when I first heard it. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. That's the good news. If you don't like where you're headed, you don't have to stay on that road, but you do have to take the wheel. You have to start making different choices today, not someday, because let me tell you, someday is the road that leads to nowhere. Let's talk about self-discipline for a moment. Self-discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the difference between a wish and a reality. Some people wish for a better life, a stronger body, a sharper mind, deeper relationships, financial freedom. But wishing won't get it done. Discipline will. Now here's the real challenge. Discipline is uncomfortable. It's inconvenient. It asks you to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term reward. But what's the alternative? The pain of regret. And regret is a much heavier burden to carry than discipline because, my friends, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. But here's the secret. Discipline doesn't have to be painful forever. You see, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The first few days, the first few weeks, it's a struggle. You might feel like giving up. But if you push through, if you stay committed, soon that discipline becomes a habit. And when a habit is formed, it no longer feels like effort. It becomes who you are. Now, you might be thinking, where do I start? That's a great question, because there's no use in knowing that habits shape your future if you don't know which habits to focus on. So today, I want to share with you 8 life-changing habits. Habits that, if practiced daily, will transform your mindset, your discipline, and ultimately your destiny. These aren't theories. These aren't complicated strategies. These are simple, timeless principles that have worked for centuries. They are the habits that separate the successful from the average, the disciplined from the undisciplined, the fulfilled from the frustrated. And let me tell you, success is not about luck. It's about habits. It's about choices. It's about setting the right standards for your life and having the discipline to uphold them. So as we go through these 8 habits, I want you to do something. Listen with the intention to apply. Don't just hear the words. Let them sink in. Because one idea, one shift in perspective, one new habit can change the course of your entire life. And when that happens, you won't just be looking back in a year, 5 years, or 10 years with pride. You'll be living a life that others will look at and say, what changed? The difference between a life of success and a life of mediocrity is not in the big events. It's not in the lottery ticket or the lucky break. No, the difference is in the small, almost invisible choices we make every single day. The small disciplines, the tiny habits. These are the things that shape our destiny. Most people misunderstand success. They think it comes in big moments, in grand decisions. But real success, it's in the little things, the everyday disciplines. It's in waking up and deciding to take control of your day instead of letting your day control you. It's in choosing to read a book instead of watching one more episode of a meaningless TV show. It's in choosing to exercise when you don't feel like it, to save a little money when you'd rather spend it, to make one more phone call when you'd rather quit for the day. These decisions seem small, almost insignificant, but over time, they compound. The problem is that the consequences of our daily habits are not immediate. If they were, more people would be disciplined. If eating a donut immediately made you gain 10 pounds, you'd think twice before eating it. If skipping a workout made you feel weak and sluggish the next day, you'd be more likely to stay committed. But the truth is, these little things don't seem to make much difference in the moment. And that's where people get it wrong. Because while they don't seem to matter today, they matter tremendously over time. Think of it like planting seeds. If you plant a seed today, you won't see a tree tomorrow. In fact, for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. But if you keep watering it, if you keep showing up and doing the work, eventually that seed will grow into something strong, something unshakable. The same principle applies to habits. Now, the question is, what habits are you cultivating? Because here's the truth. You are always planting seeds, whether you realize it or not. Every action you take, every decision you make is a seed. Some people are planting seeds of discipline, of growth, of strength. Others are planting seeds of laziness, of procrastination, of neglect. And just like in nature, whatever you plant, you will harvest. It's an unbreakable law of life. Here's what happens to most people. They tell themselves, skipping the gym today won't matter. And they're right. Skipping the gym today won't make you gain 50 pounds. But skipping the gym for a year, that's a different story. They tell themselves, reading a book today won't make me successful. And they're right. One book won't change your life overnight. But reading every day for a year, that will make you unstoppable. The small disciplines, the tiny choices, these are the things that separate the successful from the average. The truth is, you already have habits. The question is whether they're working for you or against you. Every day you are either improving your life or making it harder. There is no standing still. Either you are building discipline or you are strengthening laziness. Either you are making choices that bring you closer to your goals or you are drifting further away. The good news is, you don't have to change everything overnight. You don't have to wake up tomorrow and be a completely different person. That's not how success works. All you have to do is start small. One better decision, one disciplined action, and then another. Because once you start, something powerful happens. Momentum. The hardest part is getting started, but once you build momentum, discipline becomes easier. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. Success is nothing more than a series of good habits repeated over time. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's simply doing the right things every day until the results become impossible to ignore. So if you're looking for the secret to success, here it is. Master the small daily disciplines, and they will take care of everything else. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. The first few hours of your morning determine your mindset, your energy, and your ability to handle challenges. Yet most people start their day on accident. They wake up at the last possible moment, rush through their routine, check their phones, get distracted, and begin the day in a reactive state rather than a proactive one. And then they wonder why they feel behind, why they feel stressed, why they struggle to be productive. But here's the truth. Success starts in the morning. Discipline becomes easier. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. Success is nothing more than a series of good habits repeated over time. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's simply doing the right things every day until the results become impossible to ignore. So if you're looking for the secret to success, here it is. Master the small daily disciplines, and they will take care of everything else. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. The first few hours of your morning determine your mindset, your energy, and your ability to handle challenges. Yet most people start their day on accident. They wake up at the last possible moment, rush through their routine, check their phones, get distracted, and begin the day in a reactive state rather than a proactive one. And then they wonder why they feel behind, why they feel stressed, why they struggle to be productive. But here's the truth. Success starts in the morning. A well-structured morning routine is one of the most powerful habits you can develop. It's not just about waking up early. It's about how you use that time. The quiet hours of the morning are your opportunity to take control before the world starts making demands of you. It's your chance to strengthen your body, sharpen your mind, and set a clear intention for the day ahead. It's in these early moments that discipline is forged. Most people hit the snooze button multiple times before finally dragging themselves out of bed. That small act may seem harmless, but it's a decision. It's the first decision of the day, and it sets the tone for every decision that follows. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If the first action of your day is procrastination, if the first thing you do is delay, that habit carries over into everything else. You delay your work, you delay your health, you delay your success. But when you make the decision to get up with purpose, to own your morning, you send a different message to yourself. You tell yourself, I am in control. I don't let comfort dictate my actions. I lead my life with discipline. Now, what you do with that time matters. Some people wake up early, but they waste that extra time scrolling on their phones, checking social media, watching the news, filling their minds with negativity before the day even begins. But the most successful people in the world have a different approach. They protect their mornings. They use that time to grow, to reflect, to prepare. They read, they exercise, they meditate, they set goals. They plan their day with intention rather than letting the day happen to them. You see, your mind is like a garden. The thoughts you plant in the morning grow throughout the day. If you start your morning in a rush, in chaos, in negativity, those feelings expand into the rest of your day. But if you start your morning with clarity, with discipline, with focus, you set yourself up for success. You create momentum. And once you create momentum, it's much easier to stay on track. The most common excuse people give for not having a structured morning routine is that they don't have time. But the truth is, you don't need hours. Even 30 minutes of intentional morning habits can change everything. Waking up just a little earlier, using that time wisely, setting your priorities before the world sets them for you, this small shift can create massive change. The key is to make your morning routine non-negotiable, because discipline is not about doing something when you feel like it. It's about doing it because it's who you are. Some mornings you won't feel like getting up early. You won't feel like exercising. You won't feel like reading or journaling. But that's when it matters most, because every time you follow through, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your identity. You build confidence. You prove to yourself that you are the kind of person who follows through, and that confidence carries over into the rest of your day. When you start your morning with discipline, you bring that same energy to your work, to your goals, to your relationships. You move through the day with purpose. And when you stack enough of those days together, you build a life that others look at and wonder, how did they do it? The answer is simple. They mastered their mornings. The people you surround yourself with shape your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your future. It has been said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that is not just a nice phrase. It's a fundamental truth of life. If you spend time with people who complain, make excuses, and avoid responsibility, it won't be long before you start doing the same. But if you surround yourself with individuals who are disciplined, motivated, and striving for growth, their habits and mindset will start to rub off on you. Human beings are wired for influence. Whether we realize it or not, we adopt the language, behaviors, and attitudes of those around us. Spend enough time around negative people, and their negativity will seep into your thinking. Spend enough time around people who settle for average, and you'll start lowering your own standards. But spend time around people who are constantly improving, who push themselves to new heights, who set ambitious goals and follow through. Suddenly, you'll feel inspired to do the same. This is why environment matters. Some people try to change their habits while staying in the same negative environment, and they wonder why they struggle. It's like trying to row a boat upstream while the current is pulling you backward. It takes twice the effort, and eventually you get tired. But when you align your environment with your goals, when you surround yourself with people who challenge and uplift you, it's like having the wind at your back. Success becomes easier because it becomes normal. If you want to know where your life is headed, take a look at the people closest to you. Are they disciplined? Are they committed to personal growth? Are they taking control of their future, or are they making excuses? These are hard questions, but they are necessary. Because the truth is, you cannot outperform your environment for long. You might have strong discipline, but if you're constantly surrounded by people who lack it, they will eventually pull you down. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life completely, but it does mean you need to be intentional about who you allow to influence you. If you have friends or family who are negative, who don't believe in growth, who criticize your ambition, you must learn to limit your exposure to their influence. You can still love them, but you don't have to absorb their mindset. At the same time, you should actively seek out people who elevate you. Find mentors who have achieved what you aspire to achieve. Spend time with people who push you to be better, who make you think bigger, who don't let you settle for less than your potential. These relationships are invaluable. They accelerate your growth. They challenge you when you feel like quitting. They remind you of what's possible. One of the most powerful ways to upgrade your environment is through books, podcasts, and educational content. If you don't have access to the right people in your daily life, you can still learn from the greatest minds in history. You can listen to the words of those who have mastered discipline, who have achieved extraordinary success, and let their influence shape your thinking. In today's world, you have access to unlimited knowledge, and there is no excuse for not using it. Your success is not just about your habits, it's about the habits of those around you. If you want to build discipline, surround yourself with disciplined people. If you want to grow, surround yourself with those who are constantly learning. If you want to succeed, make sure you are in an environment where success is the standard, not the exception. Because at the end of the day, you will either rise to the level of your environment or fall to match it. The choice is yours. The mind is like a muscle. Use it, challenge it, and it grows. Neglect it, let it sit idle, and it weakens. One of the greatest disciplines in life is the discipline of continuous learning. Growth stops when learning stops. The moment a person believes they know enough, they unknowingly place a ceiling on their potential. But those who commit to lifelong learning, to feeding their mind with new ideas, sharpening their skills, and expanding their understanding, they are the ones who keep rising while others remain stuck. The world rewards those who are constantly improving. No one gets paid for what they knew 10 years ago. Knowledge and skills must be updated, refined, and expanded. Those who stop learning become outdated, not because the world is unfair, but because they chose to stay the same while everything else evolved. The difference between those who continue to grow and those who don't is simple. The learners take responsibility for their own education. They don't wait for schools, for teachers, for formal training. They seek knowledge on their own. They read books. They listen to mentors. They study success, and most importantly, they apply what they learn. One of the most common mistakes people make is assuming that learning stops when formal education ends. Some people graduate, get their diploma, and believe their education is complete. But life doesn't care about a degree on the wall. Life rewards those who keep learning long after school is over. Some of the most successful people in the world never stop being students. They understand that learning is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It's a habit, just like anything else. And just like any habit, it compounds over time. The average person reads maybe one book a year, and even that is generous. But imagine the difference in mindset, in knowledge, in decision-making ability between someone who reads one book a year and someone who reads one book a week. Over a year, that's 50 books. Over a decade, that's 500 books. Now, who do you think will have more opportunities, more wisdom, more insight? The one who reads occasionally, or the one who has absorbed the knowledge of hundreds of great minds? The answer is obvious. Learning does not always mean books, though books are a great place to start. Learning comes from conversations, from observing, from seeking out new challenges. It comes from being open to new ideas rather than being stuck in old ways. Some people have the same experiences year after year, but they never learn from them. They repeat the same mistakes, face the same struggles, because they never take the time to reflect and grow. But those who approach life as a student see every experience, good or bad, as an opportunity to learn. They ask better questions. They analyze their failures. They study what works. And because they do this, They improve at a faster rate than those who don't. One of the fastest ways to accelerate learning is through mentors. A mentor is someone who has already been where you want to go. They have made mistakes, learned lessons, and figured out what worked. When you learn from a mentor, you shortcut years of trial and error. But finding a mentor is not just about meeting a successful person. It's about being humble enough to listen, to apply what they teach, and to stay committed to the process. Some people get good advice but never act on it. The real learners are the ones who take action. The mind, like the body, needs constant training. If you don't challenge it, if you don't push it, it weakens. But if you commit to daily learning, if you make it a priority, you will always stay ahead. You will always be in control of your growth. And while others may fall behind, wondering why they never seem to progress, you will continue to rise. Because you made the decision to never stop learning. Discipline is painful, but regret is unbearable. That is the simple truth of life. Every day you are faced with a choice: to do what is easy now and suffer later, or to do what is difficult now and enjoy the rewards later. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Those who succeed understand this. They understand that nothing worthwhile comes without effort. They embrace the discomfort of discipline because they know that the alternative, looking back and wishing they had done more, tried harder, pushed further, is far worse. Most people avoid discipline because they think it's restrictive. They think it takes away freedom. But in reality, discipline creates freedom. The person who disciplines themselves to wake up early, exercise, and eat well has the freedom of good health. The person who disciplines themselves to learn, to improve, to develop new skills has the freedom of opportunities. The person who disciplines themselves to save and invest has the freedom of financial security. On the other hand, the person who avoids discipline eventually finds themselves trapped in bad health, in financial stress, in unfulfilled dreams. The irony is that the very thing people resist is the thing that would set them free. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens to carry. It doesn't happen all at once. It builds over time. At first, it's small, just a quiet thought in the back of your mind. I should have done that. Then as time passes, it grows. I wish I had started earlier. And eventually, it becomes overwhelming. It's too late. The truth is, it's never too late to start. But the longer you wait, the more you will wish you had started sooner. That's the cost of procrastination. That's the price of avoiding discipline. Some people spend their whole lives saying, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week turns into next year, and before they know it, decades have passed. They look back and realize that they could have been healthier, wealthier, more successful, more fulfilled, if only they had been willing to pay the small price of discipline each day. The good news is that discipline, like anything else, can be developed. It starts with small decisions. Wake up when you say you will. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Push yourself a little harder each day. At first, it will be uncomfortable. At first, your mind will resist. But the more you do it, the stronger you become. And eventually, discipline becomes a habit. It becomes part of who you are. Successful people are not born with more discipline than others. They simply understand its value. They understand that every day is an opportunity to build or to break down, to move forward or to fall behind, and they choose to do what is necessary, not what is easy. It's not about being perfect. No one is disciplined 100% of the time, but the key is to stay committed, to get back on track quickly when you slip, and to remind yourself that the short-term discomfort of discipline is always better than the long-term pain of regret. There is no escaping the price. You either pay the price of discipline now or the price of regret later. One is measured in effort, the other in lost opportunities. One lasts a moment, the choice is yours. At the end of the day, your life is built by the small choices you make every single day. Success is not one big event, and failure is not a single mistake. It is the consistent repetition of habits, the accumulation of small disciplines, the daily decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, but shape the entire course of your future. You now understand the power of mastering the small thing. The way you start your day, the people you surround yourself with, the commitment to learning, the ability to push through discomfort, and the willingness to choose discipline over regret. These are the things that determine where you end up in life. And the best part, these are all within your control. You don't need permission to start. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time, more talent, or more luck. What you need is a decision to stop waiting, stop making excuses, and start taking ownership of your life. The life you want is on the other side of consistency, and the only thing standing in your way is the habit of waiting for the right time. But there is no right time. There is only now. Some people will listen to this and feel inspired for a moment, but then go back to their old habits. Others will take action. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not intelligence, not luck, not circumstances. It's action. The people who succeed are simply the ones who decide to apply what they learn. They take the first step, then the next, then the next. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for someone to push them. They push themselves. And so the question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you will. Because years from now, you will look back on this moment and you will either be grateful that you started or you will wish you had. The choice is yours.